Hi, welcome to the first edition of Business Bites here from Bauer Media, Northern Ireland. My name is David Tighe, the Managing Director of Bauer Media here in Northern Ireland. And each week we catch up with a guest who's going to give us some insight and opinion in the world of business. Well, we're starting off right at the very top, in my humble opinion, and I must declare an interest. I'm a lifelong Arsenal supporter, but there's so much more to Tony Adams, our guest this week. Tony Adams MBE, founder and chairman of SIX MHS, amongst other things. Tony, you're very welcome to Business Bites.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah, looking forward to it. Let's have a good chat.
Well, it's great to have you along. Let's get straight into the story of Tony Adams, and we'll get up to date and talk about where we are now and what you're up to. So for the uninitiated from a football fraternity, it's down to me to say that I'm talking to Arsenal's most successful captain, a player that played many hundreds of games for his club, second only to David O'Leary, who'd be well known in this part of the world. So, Tony, you are...
Although he was born in Stoke Newington, David.
That's right. He was. That's a good point. But that never stopped anyone in the past.
Absolutely.
But look, Tony, your documented achievements with Arsenal and as England captain are out there for all to see. And I suppose I want to progress just past that slightly, because whilst you were playing for Arsenal, there was something else going on in there. Well, there were many other things going on in the background in your life, which were documented subsequently in a couple of books that you did post your footballing career. So just tell us a little bit about that dichotomy between the kind of famous side of Tony Adams and the battles that were going on for the people that may not be aware.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, I'm on. What am I doing here? Tony Adams, football guy. I had 22 years as a professional at Arsenal Football Club. Loved every minute of it. That was my first drug of choice, to be completely honest with you. I was very shy boy, very insecure off the pitch. On the pitch, I was a different character, and I loved it. And I captained over 3 decades, the most successful, as you said, most successful captain in Arsenal's history. Played for my country, and my football career is for all to look at. And alongside that, my alcoholism in '96 was catching up. It's really interesting looking back at the stats of my footballing career that we won the league in '91, won it in '89 as well, but we turned into a very good cup team. I was finding it increasingly hard to consume the level of alcohol that I was consuming and still play football at the highest level. In those days, it was a culture of drinking, so it was a lot of my stuff was hidden, but it was catching up. We won the cup double. We won the European Cup Winners' Cup in '94, all cups. But the 42 games, I just couldn't do it. It was catching up on me. Progressive illness, alcoholism. I was in prison in 1990 through this illness, so it was catching up with me, and it was getting to the end. And in '96, I surrendered after the Euros. Gareth Southgate missed the penalty. I went on an almighty bender, getting to my rock bottom. So that was my football. And then I had very fortunate, not a lot of footballers get this, but I got sobriety. I got peace of mind and serenity. And I started working a program of recovery. And I had 6 years playing football, 3 in my head, emotionally solid. And I just loved every bit. More successful than ever, 2 more doubles for the Arsenal, and loved every minute of it. And then kind of retired when I wanted to. A lot of people do go on too long for one reason or another. They're addicted. But I was living quite a balanced life at that point. And I'm 25 years without a drink and a drug now. But during my 6 years of recovery when I was playing football, I was getting a lot of players come up to me and going, Tony, I'm really struggling as well. How did you get clean and sober? How did you put a drink down? And I just got my own set of experiences. So what I did, I wrote that book that you mentioned earlier, David, Addicted. It sold 400,000 copies. I got £250,000 for that in '96. I gave it started a charity called Sporting Chance, and that's been going for 22 years now, and it helps sports people, and over 1,000 sports people with mental health issues and addiction. Very proud of it. We've got 4 services: education, helpline, network of counsellors, and a clinic, a residential clinic. And they're very proud of it. Over 1,000 athletes last year we helped, and very proud of it. During lockdown, and fast forward, and I'm not a player anymore, and I've been helping my charity for all these years. During lockdown, I've got all these other people, non-sports people, coming to me and going, "Toad, help, we're struggling." And I can't use the services of Sporting Chance because we're specifically for sports people. So I went, a little light bulb moment, went, hold on a minute, I've got to go and do this for everybody now. So I've started, and this is why I'm here today, talking about into the business community. I've started with the business community to take responsibility for their employees, to give them our services, to give them mental health support. Every service. It's a unique kind of product I've got in here. I've been doing it 22 years now with my charity. We've got the start and the end of the journey, and we try to help people what they need, holistic approach to their journey. So, so I've started in the business world. It's very similar actually to the football world when I started specifically in football. It's a little bit dysfunctional. They've got 4 separate bodies in football, and they're all going, well, whose responsibility is it? Do we need to help these employees? Do we need to help these players? Similar type of stuff. And the majority of business have got to wake up to it now. We've got to start talking about this stuff. My first customer was Jewsons, the building people, building manufacturers. And they have got 7,000 employees, and they're taking responsibility. They're helping all their 120 people, Jewson employees, we've helped in the first year. And they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're taking it seriously. A lot of people talk about mental health, but they don't want to back it up with their services. With our services, thank God. So I've given you a snapshot there, David. I've waffled at you for 2 minutes, but that's where I've started. I'm passionate about this stuff, especially in the construction industry. 3 times more likely to commit suicide in the construction industry. And we've got to put a warning out after this, David. Make sure that people who are listening to this, if it's affected them in any way, they've got to know where the signposts are, where they can get help. That's the thing we put. When I've got to say, Prince William came down to my charity in 2014, started a charity called Heads Together, and he said, I want to put mental health on the agenda. I said, well, okay, hopefully the NHS can deal with that. Hopefully we've got the sources that when people do come forward, that they get the appropriate help. This is what I need. This is what we need. It's a national disaster. 18 a day are committing suicide, David, and you're 3 times more likely to commit suicide in the construction industry. So I've gone into there, I'm sitting down, I've got a few other kind of Lavazza coffee, a few other clients that are really engaging and putting it seriously, taking it seriously, David. Over to you, mate. I think I've said enough.
Well, yeah, Tony, I could listen to you talking passionately about this subject all day, and I'm sure that many people like myself who support this type of work in our businesses are saying, words are cheap, actions are what are required, and that's exactly what you seem to be, promoting here as well and talking about with great passion. If I can just take the clock back a little bit to why you got to this position. So you were saying, and you've said it in your book, that you were out of control. Whilst in control of your football, there were other things that were out of control going on in the background. What do you think the business community can pick up from that? So in terms of efficiencies, in terms of, staff retention, which seems to be a huge problem for a lot of businesses right now, this could be perceived by some people. This area is like, this is an area I don't understand. This is not nuts and bolts. This is something way different. So how do you kind of give people that comfort, give business people that comfort? It's okay to step into this area.
Well, what? I don't pretend to be, I was a footballer, David, and I don't expect to, people in business to understand this stuff, especially addiction. It's very complicated. All I suggest that they do is get the appropriate signposting to the professionals. I've got a network of counsellors, a lot of them in Ireland. I did a little work with the SINI Sports Institute of Northern Ireland. They take services from Sporting Chance, so I know that organisation well, and they take our services with education and signposting. It's all about signposting. It's all about signposting to the appropriate services. And, you know, because we're external as well, you ain't got the conflict within the organisation. The HR department ain't fighting with people. The statistics say that only 14% of the people in companies go to their HR anyway. So they're scared, they're frightened. You know, if they've got a problem, an issue, they don't want to take it to their boss. You know, I've in 6 years of, you know, giving education to the Sporting Chance into football clubs, Premier League clubs. You know, it's a very competitive industry. They're not going to go, hold on a minute, I'm feeling really down today. You go, right, okay, next, you know, let's get someone else in. You know, we ain't got time to do that. But if they've got a bit of vision and a bit of, like Juicen have got now, and I've mentioned them twice now, but if they've got a bit of vision and you help your employee, signpost them to the appropriate therapist, place of help. Maybe most of the time it's just a conversation with our RMN. I've got a nurse on the other end of the line. Bit of advice, bit of support, bit of you know, what's coming on today type of stuff, and then they get on with their life and they come back. You know. And the response we've got from the people that we've helped, they've gone back into the business place, gone into the workplace and gone, oh, hallelujah, thank you very much, my business. And they're a better employee, you know, they're more productive and they're high into it. I've got a, you know, don't mind me saying, because the boss, one of the bosses at Juicen, has had his own mental health issues in the past as well. And when you get someone like that speaking up about it, but then backing it up with our services, it's so powerful, and the business grows from that. And then you create a culture like I did at the Arsenal. The last 6 years in my career, you know, I captained in a different way. When I was first at the Arsenal, it was like a stick. It was my way or the highway. I was an angry man. You do it my way, driving people into the ground. You know, it wasn't mentally healthy. You know, but the last 6 years, when I got a bit of sobriety, got a bit of an understanding of the human condition, how I was behaving today, I managed with a different, and I'll give you an example of that. And I got a great leader as well, and a great mentor in Arsene Wenger came into the club, whose mum and dad owned a pub in Strasbourg, and he saw how it changed people, how alcohol changed people, and he got a bit of an insight to it. Not sure he's got empathy, he probably got sympathy because I don't think he's an addict, but there you go, maybe he is, because he's a little bit obsessed with the Arsenal at the end of the day. But a good example is Ian Wright, my old buddy. People might know, big righties, pundit and good player for the Arsenal, was living in South London, and he was kind of getting late not every day. He's pulled me up about that. Sometimes he was struggling to get on time for training. So the old Tony, the old captain, would have gone, go righty, get in, what is wrong with you? Get in here, you know, you need to get on time. Yeah. I went to Arsene, I said, what are we going to do? And Arsene kind of said, should we put training time back? Should we make it later? And we went, wow. Well, we can do that. We can do that. Yeah, give him an opportunity. We need this guy. We need this guy to deliver for us. We need him for this. We went on to win the double that year, 97, 98. And right, he contributed, you know, and it was a simple solution. You know, but if you're trapped in self, and you wanted to wheel it back a bit, David, to my own personal issues, you know, if anyone don't know, you know, obviously I had panic attacks, clinically depressed, all that kind of stuff, my alcoholism, you know, I went into prison, intensive care, the gory details, you know, you can get the first book, you know, but I'm through all that now, you know, and I got the appropriate help. My route into recovery was from a one-to-one therapy, simple as there's the number, give him a call. And I spoke to this guy, still speak to him today, 25 years later, still speaking to the same mentor, therapist, mate, call him what you want, getting my stuff out, and I do AA. I go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that helps with my group therapy. So I get everything off my chest with my personal friend, and then I get everything, because a lot of people ain't got families. And, you know, in the handful of education talks that I did with the Sporting Chance, I said that my question to the players and stuff, and I did when we go down to about 8 in the academies and stuff, and I spent all these players, and I said, where's your support network? Show me your support network. Who do you talk to? Who's your buddies? What do you do? My mum always used to say, show me your friend and I'll show you you. So sorry, show me your mates and I'll show you you. And it's very wise. And I asked them the question, I said, what is your support network? And I've done hundreds of talks, as you can tell with me talking, hundreds of talks to the education departments of the football clubs, the 92 Premier League and EFL clubs. And I can say on one hand, the people have come forward and gone, oh, I've got a great family. We sit down every night. We talk around the dining room table. We talk about our stuff, emotions and stuff. We talk about our fears. And one hand, one guy at Charlton, captain, he said to me, yeah, my wife is like a rock. She said she's so mentally well and healthy. I go to her all the time and she just kind of sorts me out. I dump everything on her and away I go into the life. One hand. The people ain't got these networks. They've got these outlets anymore. If anyone's listening to this, if I've annoyed you, if I've got you upset, if you think, my God, he's spoken so much today, Jesus Christ, just have a conversation with someone, David. Just get if you've been on a call, say, oh my God, I heard Tony Adams on the radio the other day. I heard him on that thing, my God, he was talking about buddying up, talking to people. That saved my life. My mouth saved my life. I couldn't open my mouth, 29 years of age, trapped, suppressing everything. You asked me how I was doing. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I was gone. I never did an interview. Too scared. I will shut up, David. Promise.
No, honestly, I mean, the whole point of having the conversation is to hear you, and those points that you make. If it can impact one person listening to this, then it's one more than it was before we did it. So fair play to you, and keep talking, because that's why we're here. We're here to help. That's the whole point of this discussion. Absolutely. You do make a point, though, about having the courage as an individual to ask for help. And sometimes, does it always have to be that way? Do we have to get to rock bottom before we ask for help? And where is that balance in your mind in terms of professionally? So my example would be, there could be incidents where people know other people who quite clearly have a problem, and you hear this line, they don't want to be helped. I've asked them and they're not interested. What's your view in that whole space? Because that's a real push and pull, isn't it?
Well, David, listen, I've been in this game, 3 in 1 of us, drunks like me, ex-drunks like me, die, mate, 1 in 3. So it's not great statistics. And if you can think of about maybe a third, and a third get it straight away, whatever you do it, whatever, if they're going to rehab, if they go off the streets, if they, whatever it is, the light bulb moment comes on and they go, whoa, hallelujah, my God, this is what I need to do. And they get on it, and the 12-step program saved my life. Well, it's actually given me a life, the surrender moment when I was ready. And you've got to share in safe places. That came up for me as well. We don't want to spurt all this stuff inappropriately. We on our speakers that I have that give the talks, I make sure that they're healthy and they're a few years down in their recovery. They're not raw and they're not vulnerable. I think it's very important that they're a good sound of mind, and you've got to have good places. So the third, getting back, David, for my personal opinion, I hate doing opinions, but my experience of looking at it for the last 25 years of recovering addicts like me, I've got a bit of a third thing going on here, and and a third are never going to get it, mate. It's going to end up, unfortunately, I've been to a lot of funerals in my 25 years. They're just not going to get it, whatever. And there's a third there that pretty much what I'm kind of maybe working with today, is the ones that are floating around doing the research, I call it. That's the ones that you want to throw everything at. You want to throw, I don't know, interventions or rehab or go in walking therapy or throw everything at them, because you don't know when that what's going to click, the moment of clarity comes down, whatever it is, get them on the racing track, see if they take them golf with me. I love me golf. It's my happy place at the moment, get them playing golf, get them addicted to that. So I think that's where my split is at the moment. If you go into a rehab and stuff, and the rehabs, there's 120 at 12 rehabs in the country, in the UK, and statistics are really poor. I'm not dishing the ones that do make it in rehabs, but they do the third as well. Third die, third get it, and the third kind of relapse. And it's a tough for addiction's really complicated. There's trauma, there's everything. If we're just talking about, but primarily what I've encountered really, David, is mental health. And people don't understand where mental health and mental illness is. I had a mental illness. I was mentally obsessed with alcohol. Mental health is like I look after my mental health every day today. I do certain things. I like walking. I like talking. I like getting my stuff up. I get my stuff up. I eat well. I sleep well. I look after my good mental health. It puts me in better frame of mind. I do that. And I look after my emotions as well, because they're connected. You can't avoid it, unfortunately. You just don't get anxiety without stress, or you don't get depression without the trauma and stuff. It's all connected. You're a body. You can't take your head off and say, look, we'll just look after your head. It's your whole. You make me angry. That makes me rowdy. If you don't appropriately do your anger, then you're going to suffer. It's going to go up. It's going to go inside. You've got to look after yourself, mental health. But that's not saying, and if I finally will say this, and I think you intimated it is, if we can see the car crash coming, it's going to put you out a lot of misery. You don't have to get to the bottom. I'm seeing more and more people in recovery now get it in their 20s and say, hallelujah, I can see if I continue to drink or drug or gamble like this, I'm going to end up like that, and go, I've got to do something about it. And for me, the 12-step is the best alternative. Therapy is the way out. It was my way out.
Tony, I'm conscious you've got to catch a train shortly, as you told me at the beginning of this chat. I could have part 2 of this next week if you want. 2 final questions. SIX MHS, right up to date, the newest venture that's set to help people in business. If people want to get in contact with SIX MHS, what are the main things? What are the main areas that you would suggest that a business would be contacting you for? What are the most inquiries you're getting?
What makes us different, I think, because there's a lot of people that do a lot of this stuff. A lot of education out there. There's a hell of a lot of 24/7 helplines. I don't think any of them have got a network counsellors like I've got. And there's addiction recovery services, because I said everybody's journey is different. So I just don't throw rehabs. Don't throw them all into rehabs. It doesn't work. For the majority, it doesn't work. So you have to have, for me, addiction recovery services, one-to-one addiction therapists. You have to holistically assess. You have to have someone in the top. I had a great guy, James West, looked after my clinic for 22 years, and he sits above, and he can tell, actually, I think it'd be a really good idea if this guy gets a job. Don't bother rehab, just get a job, mate. Sometimes you have to aid them into getting a job. But we are education, so we've got the front door. I do a lot of talks. My story is addiction, depression, bit of PTSD. Put a couple of stents in a couple of years ago, fripped my mind. So we got a range of speakers. I've been working with speakers for the last 21 years. And we signpost, which is unique, to our own services. So it's to our own helpline. And we're not a faceless call center. I've got an RMN. Katrina sits at the other end of that line with a couple of support telephone ladies, actually. And she is a specialist in that. Placing, maybe advice. It might be the person's brother, aunt, dad that makes the call, and they go, "My God, what do I do?" And then she says, "Well, try and get them to ring us, do that." But she's really important to the whole process. And then like I said, our first, if it's an addict, for instance, our first port of call is the addiction therapist. We've got a network of, where they're bilingual, because I've worked in football and only 24% of the English Premier League is English. So I've had to have the sporting chance I had, and now I've got in business. We've got different languages, multilingual, and when you talk emotions, it's got to be in their first language for me. It's got to be in your first tongue, as it were. So we've got that, and then we've got the services after, the addiction side as well. But mental health is the therapy. So we got the network of, and then we got the aftercare, and we just don't throw you to the fellowship groups. We got our own groups. We've got our own groups. We've got our own network of peer support across the country and Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, so we're around that areas, and we can get it. Katrina the other day put someone to see someone in 45 minutes. It's about 8 months to a year. 8 months to a year on the national health system. Okay. She put them, and when you need help, you need it now. You can't wait. You can't wait. You can't, you go to your doctor and you're like, oh, and it's like 8 months, or take an antidepressant. Antidepressant, there's 7 million of us on antidepressants in the UK. That's because I haven't got time to talk to these. The GPs ain't got time to talk to these guys, so they throw them a tablet. So they got to have a antidepressant and up it. And some people were on them for years and years. And I'm not anti. They've got their place, and I'm not a medic. This is only my story. Okay, so that's where I'm at. We've got all these services. We're external, private, and confidential organisation that looks after the mental health and addiction of all your employees.
Okay. And Tony, just a final word. Again, I want to come back for part 2 at some point. If someone's watching this, we mentioned it at the beginning, someone's watching this right now and they're in a difficult place. Again, I know you tell me you're not a medic, but you've been in those difficult places.
Listen, David, if it's an emergency, call 999. Get yourself to hospital. If it's an emergency, get yourself to hospital. That's where you're safe. Got to get them safe. If it's a high risk situation, get yourself to hospital. And then there's if it's depression, you're having a bad day, anxiety, got things a little bit low. That's the biggest call that we get. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what's happening today, but then give us a call. We can signpost you if you want some help around your mental health. Then we can signpost you to the appropriate professionals, David. That's what we do. We've got Samaritans as well, great organisation. Samaritans took 5 million calls. They do signpost back to your GP, but get them safe. We've got to get these people safe. If you're suicidal, get the call done. Get the call done. Make the call. Please make the call.
Thanks, Tony. Wise words. I've about another 50 questions here, but we will save that. We will save that for part 2. A bit like your second book. We'll do another one sometime. But listen, Tony, for me, absolute pleasure. Thanks for all that you did when you were at the Arsenal, because you made my football supporting years an absolute pleasure, despite what may have been going on in the background for you. You certainly put a smile on this guy's face anyway for all those years. And I wish you the very, very best with your SIX MHS business and charity, and anything that we can do here at Bauer Media to help you in the future. You just got to give us a call, and we're right there.
Maybe I should look after your staff, David.
Maybe you should. We'll have a chat about
that. God bless you, pal. Lovely to see you.
Honestly, Tony, all the best to you, and thanks for everything you're doing. Appreciate it.
Wonderful day.